Love the countdown.
I know, but I don't know if it went live yet. That's my other thing. I think we're live. Let's see here. Here's the thing. I know I'm probably live on my YouTube. I don't know if it is on
Not on
IG,
IG, at
but I
least.
don't know if it's going to be on IG. It says it is, but we'll see. Okay, why don't we get started then? And it's going to be recorded anyway, so we'll send it out to everyone if you need it. So we'll start off with that. And then we have folks here who are going to ask questions anyway, I'm sure of it. All right. Welcome, everyone. Today is a very special session. We are going to talk a little bit about some of the credit card changes that are happening, not just one, two, but three. I mean, I don't know if we have a chance to get through all the changes, but Amex Business Platinum, Amex Platinum, Capital One, and then Chase gets into the whole mix of it. And I am joined today by Julia from Journey on Points, as well as Dr. Kelly from Points and Miles. Doc, how are you both doing?
We're good. So glad to be here. Thank you for the last minute invite. I'm so excited to talk about my favorite subject, points and miles.
Why don't we get started by introducing ourselves first? Julie, why don't you kick it off and let us know where you're based out of, and then a little bit about your background with cards and how you got started.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia from Journey on Points. I'm based in Miami, and I've been creating content for about 2 years. I think so. Yeah, I'm very new when it comes to this points and miles world, but at the same time, when I finally discovered this world, I became obsessed, and I feel like I studied within 3 months what people usually study in like years. So I'm a little bit crazy, so that's why I kind of like study everything I could. And I when I started creating content, I was mainly speaking with my friends in Portuguese in Brazil because my personal Instagram account was everything in Portuguese, and they were asking me, my American friends were asking me to translate. So I then decided to create a another account in English. And long story short, we're here. I've been, focusing on. I talk a lot about American Express because I'm obsessed with them. But in general, I am obsessed with points and miles. And yeah, I mean, I'm very excited. So many changes are happening. So I am super excited to discuss this with you guys. And that's it. So
Right.
many changes are happening.
Hey,
So I am super excited to discuss this with you.
so that's great. Julie, as somebody who's, I would say, different wave of folks who are coming in, are you? Do you have the Chase Sapphire Reserve as well?
I do not. I only have the
Yeah.
preferred.
Okay, so you actually are great because we're going to talk about whether you should probably get it or not, and folks like that as
Mhm.
well. Kelly, can you give us a little background about yourself and how long you've been doing Points and Miles as well?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Ben. Yeah, I'm Kelly at the Points of Miles Doc. I am a full-time surgeon, but I have been doing Points of Miles for over a decade, really as a nice hobby to prevent burnout and share with all my colleagues in the operating room. And I felt like people were getting tired of me talking about it, so I took it to Instagram about 3 years ago. So I get to share it with like-minded people who are just as obsessed with points as I am. But I have had the Chase Sapphire Reserve since it came out in 2016. So lots of changes for me, and it's been one of my workhorse credit cards, for the past 9 years. And I'll talk a little bit about that and what value proposition I've seen for it up until now, and how that is definitely, unfortunately, changing going forward with these new credits.
Yeah, here's the thing. Before we get into it, I think everybody here has heard, at least from the very minimum, oh, the cost of the card has gone up, and it's gone up beyond what the Amex Platinum has, which historically has always been that premium tier. And I guess we want to kind of bring up right now is, does any of this change for us? And so I kind of wanted to bring up a couple of things. I have a few slides, but I'd love to just kind of maybe have more of a conversation. The first thing that we've been hearing is that this card, which is right now $550, is that correct? Or $595? I'm losing track anymore. I think it's
550.
$550.
Yeah.
I remember when it was 450, Kelly. Do you remember that when it was 450?
Oh
The card
yeah,
was 450. Then they made
that
that
was
change and went up
before
to 550.
anybody. Yeah, I think it was Amex who first breached 500, but I felt like 500 was the ceiling. Like City Prestige, Platinum, and Chase Sapphire Reserve were like all right underneath, or 450 or 495, and then boom, Amex went up, it broke it, and then now we're seeing it happen again.
I wonder if City Prestige will ever increase theirs because I have that card. And I'm like, they're on standby as of now. But
You
I
know,
don't know.
I think cards that are not being offered anymore, I don't think there's enough of them, for all the grandfather people who still have it. It's a
Mm.
great card from that perspective, but it's a shell of what it used to be. Kelly, Kelly, do you remember when you used to give us 3 rounds of golf? You used to give me Admirals Club membership. I mean, I didn't even need the executive card because I had the prestige card.
Yes, and that 4th night free on any hotel that you could book just by calling the concierge. So I'd actually booked an all-inclusive hotel in Patagonia with the 4th night free. It was like $2,000 off. That those were the days of the really great benefits of the card.
Yeah,
So
I did the same. I booked a fourth night free in Bali in Ubud at this amazing
Nice.
hotel. Oh my God. And that was in 2019. So I was kind of like playing the credit card game back then. I just didn't know.
so maybe that's a good question right now. Before we get into like these cards, you have a premium card, Julia. So it's not that you don't have a premium card. But the question really comes down to is, do you get 1? Do you get 2? Do you get 3? I mean, Kelly, how many of these premium credit cards, ultra premium, do you have?
Oh gosh. I mean, it sounds so silly because I canceled the City Prestige because it felt ridiculous at the time to have a reserve, a platinum, and a prestige.
Right.
I think the 2 premium cards we have in our family right now that we keep are the personal platinum and the reserve. When it comes to other premium cards, a lot of that is opening for outsized welcome offers and then canceling after a year. So you're really not using the card. Yeah. But I would say in general, we probably keep 2 to 3 that we actually spend on and use.
So Jean just said, in retrospect, he wished she kept it. I kept it and kept it and kept, but they just kept on taking everything away. I'm just like, I don't want to hold on to this card anymore. Do you know, Kelly, they wanted us out. Like they weren't trying to keep us. They just kept
it was so hard to watch the benefits go away. And yes, some days I wish I had it for that 5 times on dining and whatever remaining bonus categories they have. But it's probably only scarcity mindset since I can't get it anymore. Is why I want it.
Okay, let's get to the card though. So let's talk about the new changes that are coming. And the reason why we're having this call now is because June 23rd is going to be a big date, which is a week from now. So I wanted everybody to kind of get this information up front and decide, in the next week, what should they do? Should they keep it or not keep it? Should they apply for the card? Should they apply for under the old? Because if you apply under the old, hey, you can still get the $550 fee if you apply in the next week, and get $550 versus $795. So you get a whole year of saving roughly, $150, $145. So that's something to consider. The big thing they're making a change is that they're moving away from earning 3x and they're increasing to 4x. But with the 4x, it is only going to be flights and hotels, as opposed to that broad travel category. And then if you go through Chase Travel, instead of earning 10x, you're going to earn 8x. Okay, so let's start off with that right now. Kelly, what is your thoughts on that? 3x on travel for anything rather, or now 4x on hotels and flights? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, the 3 times on travel for me was the big workhorse on this card. And if I look back, because they break down your spending categories, I think 95% of my spend, even in the Chase system, was the 3 times X on travel because it's just such a broad category. So it really hurts to lose that. I already, I'm not that impressed with 4 times on flights. To break it down and make it harder to use is just a big loss to me because I book a lot of trips through we love safaris, but safari operators, if you book cruises, those cruises counted for 3x. If you book through a travel operator of any kind who is putting together your trip, it's 3 times travel. Since I use my points to offset premium airfare. We often spend our money on the ground experience through some kind of tour company. So for me, that's a big loss. I don't care as much about booking directly through the brand, and of course most of us don't enjoy booking through the Chase portal at baseline because of inflated prices and sometimes poor customer service when it comes to dealing with issues. So big loss for me.
So, and what about you, Julia? Do you like the idea of 3x travel or increase to 4x on the flight and hotel? Like I would think majority of my points have come via flight and hotel, but I do like the broad category. What's your thought on that, Julia?
So I have a theory, right? So I don't think it's one size fits all game. Sure, there are facts that the new annual fee will apply to anyone, and we cannot change that. But when it comes to, like, for example, the value of points or the benefits a car offers, um, that can vary a lot from person to person. For example, I use my Chase points to hike. So, and that's me. That's a rule that I have, but it could be different to another person. And what's totally worth it for one traveler might not make sense for someone else. So that's why I think it's so important to look at your own travel goals, habits, and needs before making any decision. So I could be talking about my needs, my goals, my travel goals, but that could be different than yours, Ben's,
Yeah.
than Kelly's. So in my opinion, it's not one size fits all. And yeah, I mean, I use my Chase points to hide for now.
Well, I think from an earnings standpoint too, my concern is nobody's filling this void because the broad category of travel included parking, included tolls, it included cruises. You know, to earn 3x on cruises was big for those who cruise. You know, vacation Airbnbs, you would earn 3x. So all that goes away now in the new 4x ecosystem. So I don't know if there's another card that really would pick that up. You know, is there another card in that world that would
I
have
know
that?
that Bilt does not categorizes, for example, VRBOs as travel.
Hmm.
So we need to be care. I don't know about Airbnb if Bilt categorizes as travel. I'm not really sure. I have to double check on that.
Although you know what, the ink cards, yes, as G mentioned, the Chase
Yeah.
ink cards, I think they still have the cousin, you know, to that card on the 3x is still existing on the business side. So I think that's the one that left with at this point now that makes it valuable. But you got to go on the business side to get that card from that perspective. Let's talk a little bit about points boost. I'm going to touch upon it. I actually have a whole thing on points boost. But there's a whole thing now that they're moving away. They're trying to push the travel portal. Obviously, Chase has its own travel portal, and they make money. They sell commission whenever they make a booking there, and they've been playing around with it already. They're saying, you know, if you book through the portal with certain vendors, we'll give you 2x. So there's going to be something new on that coming up as well. What is your thoughts, either one of you, Julia or Kelly, on actually using the portal? Do you use a portal? Do any of you ever use a portal?
Oh, I used to when, for example, when I was very new, when I was beginning, when I got my City Prestige, they were like offering 10x points if you use the portal. And that to me was like, oh my God, that was amazing. Until something happened. And then I had to figure out on my own because the portal was not helpful at all.
Mm.
Plus, the price is so different majority of the time. So I do not recommend, at least for me, from my own research.
It is. I can see sometimes the prices on it does tend to be a little bit higher than maybe even booking direct. Kelly, do you try to book through the portal even to earn status? Because I know some folks do that as well.
Yeah, I would use it sparingly. I think in two places. One, redemptions where the 1.5 cents was higher than the transferring of points. That could make sense for like Marriott's. It could make sense for some domestic economy flights. And then sometimes would I book cash through the portal to get the elevated offer? Sure, if it was like a low risk, again, domestic flight for which I may otherwise, you know, it wouldn't be the end of the world if something happened. But, you know, again, the portal, just having to look now in the portal to see what kind of value you're going to get is going to completely turn it off. When that floor of 1.5 cents is gone, Now my value is going to be variable between 1 and 2 cents, but I have to go look that up to see what value I'm going to get. I don't think they're adding so much complexity here that it's adding in a lot of fatigue that I think people are not going to end up using it.
Makes a good point. So they're pushing the travel portal. You got, points on direct flights. There's also dining. Let me ask you on dining, because that's something that a lot of people use the card for dining. There's 3x on dining. Kelly, do you use the portal? Do you use the card for dining? Is that your dining card or is that not your dining card?
Usually the Amex Gold was my dining card, but I would use the CSR internationally because there sometimes can be some issues with Amex registering things abroad, and also just if it's accepted abroad. So it's kind of like my backup. But it just wasn't a huge spend category compared to what I was putting 3x on travel on this card.
If there was a dining card that you would use, what would that be then for you?
It's typically Amex Gold, and then after that, it's the Saver Cash, which is the Capital One 3 times points, no annual fee card, which I think is a really undervalued card.
Okay, Julia, what's your dining card?
So I'm still using my City Prestige because
nice.
Yeah, I didn't cancel.
Yeah,
I think I'm one of the very few. So I'll either use that or Bilt because I think Bilt points are extremely valuable at the moment.
Yeah. I'm in the Bilt camp as well. So Bilt has become my dining card of choice nowadays.
Especially on the first.
Here's the thing, Kelly, Julia. I've been probably the biggest advocate of Chase, a Blue Bank, for like forever now. But I would say here's the thing: in 2016, when this card came out, it was revolutionary because at that time, I give this card the reason why we have hybrid, and I would almost argue that this card directly brought in a whole wave of people that never would have done points miles if it wasn't for this particular card. But they haven't really done much of this card in the last 9 years, ever since it came out, because I got it at the same time. I just looked at my statement. I got it in October. Like my card annual fee is on October 1st. I think it was like a month and a half after the card came out, and it was 100,000 bonus at the time. We still don't know what the bonus is going to be. So that is a mystery right now. But we know when they first launched the card, it came out at 100,000 back in 2016. So I would say that could be the floor. I can't imagine they're going to give anything less than that, especially considering there's a $795 fee attached to it. Kelly, do you have any guesses what you think the welcome bonus could be? I mean, I'm not going to hold you to it, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
The pessimist says 100,000. The optimist says 150,000. I don't think they'll go over that or match Amex on some of their offers. I think they feel their points are more valuable, and again, I'm projecting what I think their opinion is of themselves, and not putting any of my opinion on that. I don't think they're any more valuable than any other transferable point. But 100 at the floor to 150 at the top.
And Julia, what do you think? What do you think well, okay, let me ask this. What do you think it would be and that it would get people excited to apply for this card? Because so far, we haven't talked about anything that's like over the top great yet. But so far, what do you think that bonus would need to look like?
I'm trying to analyze their marketing strategy because they talked about everything but the sign-up bonus. So I don't know if they're preparing us for a good news or for a met news. So it's either or. I don't think it's either going to be very amazing or it's going to be like, So we'll see. I don't know.
Okay.
If I could guess, I would say like 100,000 too. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. So this group is pessimistic a little bit. 100,000. Okay. I'm gonna throw it out there. I think they're gonna come out with 125,000. I think 100,000. They already did. The fee was 450. I'm like, gosh, if you're gonna give me the same sign-up bonus you gave me, 9 years ago.
Yeah, they already did the 100,000.
You understand? That's the way I look at it. Like. So I'll call out there. I think it's going to be like 125, and that'll make it like, ooh, because they've done 100 with the Chase Sapphire Preferred twice already.
Or maybe they haven't even decided yet, and they just put it out there for us, to analyze our behavior. And then after our behavior, they'll be like, oh, okay, based on that, maybe. You never know.
I gotta think if that's the case, Julia, they gotta have they gotta have plan A, plan B by now. I don't think they're deciding at that point, but yeah, they gotta have some brochures and things. Can we get into a little bit about the credits? So let's talk about some of the credits. Now, the credits, I think they took a page right out of Amex Platinum here, and they said, okay, well, Amex is giving credits. Maybe we should do the same thing. And by the way, a lot of times I think most of these credits are coming from the actual vendor, whoever they're talking to. So I doubt it's coming out of Chase's pocket necessarily, or there's some kind of marketing budgets coming out. So the first one is a $300 travel credit. That is the normal travel credit we have normally right now that comes off real easy. That's still there. That doesn't change. So are you guys happy that I would think everybody's happy that hasn't changed. It's still the same. Then there's something new called the Edit Hotel Credit. Edit is their new premium. It's like an Amex FHR version, like it's their high-end 5-star. And they're going to give us $250 every 6 months. And then you need to stay at least 2 nights, not 1 night. So there's a little bit like this, like even the FHR one, it's like, okay, you can do 1 night, but this one says you have to do 2 nights and we only give you $250. So what do you think about that?
I think we've got like point search tools. The next search tool, I'm putting it out there, is going to need to be searching all these programs for the hotel that you want to stay at. Because now if you want to stay somewhere, you got to search FHR, you got to search the Edit, and same thing with their dining. This credit is a bummer, especially they broke it down and made it 2 nights. So you're going to have to stay at least 4 nights somewhere in their program to make it work. Right. I'm sure some people will, but it adds that extra complexity again of searching to see if where you want to stay is even in their program.
Yeah, that's for sure. New Orleans or Southeast Asia? You have to go. All right. Let's look at the dining credit. So not only they have that, they're going to give us a dining credit, and it's going to be used once again semi-annually. So $150 at their exclusive tables. I think their exclusive tables are like the critically acclaimed higher end restaurants where you're probably going to spend a little more money. It's more of a celebratory type of restaurant,
Resi, right?
Yeah, like a resi type of restaurant. Kelly, can you see yourself using this?
I use things like resi credits very easily, but I'm not sure where this platform lies. Is it on Open Table? Is that where it is?
It's still a little bit vague, right?
I think they're probably going to have their own app where they're going to be able to look on their app. I'm having a whole on discussion, by the way, this whole week, all talking about food and AI, because I'm working with this company right now to talk about how to help make recommendations. But this whole question about where it lies and how people find it, I think is going to be interesting as well. Because like on Bilt, you just go onto the Bilt app. But is it going to be on the Chase app? And then I'm assuming it will be eventually, so that you can be able to look for it. Yeah. Okay.
StubHub. And does it include? Oh, sorry. Does it include their dining events? I've actually been to 2 of their dining events in the past here in LA, and they've been really good. If the credits included that, I could see myself using them. But those are usually emailed, like targeted. They send them out so you can book, and it's usually in Talk is where you book through, and then they give you the credit on the back end. So again, just more confusion. I guess we'll find out.
I think someone just bought Talk. Was it Open Table that just bought Talk? There was a whole discussion. So someone just bought Talk, by the way. It was like a big deal. It's like this week. It was like a brand new this week. Anyway, someone says that Gary Leff has a spreadsheet with all the restaurants, but Brooke says most of these the Edit properties, going back to hotels, she says some of them are like $2,000 a night. Some of those properties.
Yeah, $250 is like.
Okay, let's move on. Let's go to the StubHub credit. Now, this one here is interesting because I'm like, okay, entertainment, concerts. You can get a. What do you think about this one here? Can you see yourself using this?
Not me, no. But again, to the point where I say it's not one size fits all. I personally am not excited about that at all. but some people might be. So at least for me, it's like a hard pass. No.
Okay, so there's more credits. Okay, how about a $300 DoorDash credit, $25 a month plus 1 year of Dash Pass membership. So instead of the $10 we get right now, I think they upped it to $25 a month. Now, do you use the DoorDash credit, Julia?
Okay, so personally, this is like getting to a point where I'm not a huge fan of, having to track too many credits and benefits across multiple cards.
Yeah.
I already do quite a bit of that with my American Express Platinum. I have 3 of them, so 1 personal and 2 businesses. So that already consumes me a lot. So having to track more credits, in my opinion, is not something that I'm looking forward to, being very honest.
Well, Brooke is here from Card Pointers, and she would probably say you got to add card pointers on there so keep track of this. Yeah. Let me.
I know a guy who can introduce
Here's the thing about DoorDash, and people always tell me all the time, well, you can go pick, because I don't really care for delivery, because number one, it always gets here and it's like kind of semi-cold or warm-ish.
Yeah.
It's never like, I like to go get it myself. So people are always like, oh, well, you could go order it yourself. I just never do it. Although it can be done, maybe I'll do it 1 out of like 10 times, and I never get the perks out of it that I'm supposed to get. Okay, let's go to the Apple service. Now, this one
point on the DoorDash real quick. They already confirmed it's not $25 at a time. It's $5 for restaurants and then $10 each for 2 separate grocery orders. So I feel like we're getting to daily credits, right? They're like $300 credit, but it's 95 cents per day. It's
I'd rather
they've
stick
already
with my
confirmed.
Instacart credit from the Chase Inks.
I'm sure someone's going to put in the comments, says, Ben, I go to 7-Eleven and I get, all this, Cheetos or something like that. I don't know. What am I getting for like $10?
I don't use it. We order, like, I'll use Uber Eats, I'll use Grubhub, I'll use DoorDash. I pretty much just use the $5 restaurant credit a month for like our bread delivery from a lovely nearby bakery. And that's it. I find the grocery ones much harder to use. So it's a bummer. The Reserve used to let you stack the $5 so you could let them build up for 3 months at a time and then use $15, but then they stopped that, I think this year. So,
okay, let's move to Apple. So they're going to give us $250 Apple services. So it's probably Apple TV or Apple Music. Do you use that? I mean, I know I can say that I do pay for Apple, so it's going to be one of the few things I'm like, okay, I can use that.
Same.
And then Lyft credit, $10 a month, 120 for Lyft. They have a deal with Lyft as opposed to Amex has a deal with Uber. So this one's a Lyft. I usually use Lyft more often. So it's nice to actually get a credit, because I always find that, for me anyway, for the way I travel all the time, Lyft is always less expensive than Uber for me. I only use Uber when I go to the airport. So I'll use it that one time where I have to go to the airport and back a month. But Kelly, do you have any comments on Lyft or the Apple services?
Apple won't use the Lyft. Yeah, I use sometimes. I've been using more Uber Black from the airport since they can pick you up curbside at LAX. Okay. So I've gotten a little spoiled there. But I do agree that Lyft is less expensive in some markets and their drivers are pretty friendly.
Okay, this last one. Peloton, $120, $10 a month, plus 10x on equipment purchases over $150. I'm trying to remember, what is the minimum for Peloton? Is it like $20? Is Peloton $20 a month? Julia, you're the workout queen. Do you know this one about
Honestly,
Peloton?
I'll be way more excited if that was Class Pass.
You know what? You're right. I would love a Class Pass. Give me a Class Pass, because my gym is way too expensive. I would rather give me $150 or something like that. Yeah, give me Class Pass. I would totally do that.
I'm a Peloton user.
I don't do DoorDash because every time that I need to buy food, I need to leave, because if not, I'll stay home forever. If I do Peloton, if I work out in my home, I'll just go crazy. I need to leave, from time to time. So a class pass credit will be way more interested for me.
I'm not sure if the Apple disperse monthly, but I'm going to assume it is. I'm going to. Everything else seems to be dispersed. I don't think they're going to give us 250 one time on anything of this. But here's the one thing I do like right now, and this is temporary. Right now, you can earn 500 points for working out on Peloton on Hyatt points. You get 500 Hyatt points every time you work out on Peloton, and they give me like up to 10 times a month right now. So I'm wondering, okay, well, if it goes in effect right away, maybe I use a Peloton for my Hyatt points for the next 2 months. That's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, I can't imagine what I'm going to use it for. I'd rather give this away. I wish I can just give it away. Can I just give it away? Can I sign up for somebody who uses Peloton?
I wish they had like a spot where we could go and use the credit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about points boost. So this whole points boost idea is that the old system of using the portal of 1.5, they're going to move it up to 2 cents on certain hotels, not everyone. But if you have a Chase Sapphire Reserve, if you currently have one and you get the card before the 26th, you're going to be able to move. Your points will still be valid at 1.5 all the way until 2027. But after that, they're getting rid of 1.5. Like you won't be able to, like that whole thing, how we get 50% more with the points, that's going away. They're going to choose certain hotels where you can get 1 all the way up to 2. So there's a little transition period until October 2027. Does this affect any of you? I mean, would you plan? This is, once again, it's only matter if you use a portal. So if you don't use a portal, this really doesn't make a difference.
Again, I always use my Chase points to transfer to Hyatt. So if I'm ever using the portal, it will be American Express portal, and I never use the portal, period. That's my personal strategy. Some people might use the portal and they might think it's, beneficial to their strategy. But for me, I'm not someone who uses the portal, period.
Here's my take on the portal. I remember when the City Prestige used to give 1.6 cents for purchases on American Airlines, and I would use the heck out of that, because whenever I'm sorry, and this is just when I bought a ticket, I would be able to no, I'm sorry. When I was redeeming, I would get 1.6, and then I would also be earning 3x, but I was using it for that purpose, because I was like, oh, I can transfer my my City points and it becomes a revenue ticket, and it would help me earn status. So I was doing that for a period of time. I probably would say 2 cents is better than 1.6, and at least 2 cents, because I don't even think Amex, I don't even think Southwest points are 2 cents. I don't think JetBlue points are 2 cents. So if you were transferring it to JetBlue or Southwest, you weren't getting 2 cents anyway. If you were redeeming it for, business class, international, then you were getting at least 3 cents or more. But I think 2 cents for some people may make sense if they're buying cash tickets and if they're flying domestically. 2 cents is not a bad deal.
Yeah, 2 cents is a good deal.
Yeah.
But what I read about this points boost is it's going to be priced essentially dynamically. So they're going to choose when you're able to have that boost up to 2 cents, and otherwise it'll be 1. So again, it's going to be variable, and it's just an extra search you have to do to see where the value lies.
All right. Let's talk about these transfer partners, because Julia says she always transfers to the transfer partners. I'll start with this. I'm assuming you already transferred to Hyatt. Do you ever transfer to the airlines, Julia? When do you ever transfer the airlines that they have? Ever?
Honestly, I literally just use my Chase points to Hyatt. That's
Right.
it.
So here's my hypothetical. What happens when Hyatt is no longer, God forbid, but if Hyatt is
finish
not
that
there,
sentence. I forbid you.
you know what? This is the thing. I feel like Chase just rides the coattails of Hyatt. You take Hyatt out of this whole equation, what is a Chase points worth at that point now? How much is it worth if you don't have Hyatt? That's my question. The whole world of YouTube, tell me, what do you think? Like, what is the value of Chase points without Hyatt?
That's why we love Bilt points, because we always have Bilt to transfer to Hyatt. you know, as an alternative.
Why do you think I'm building that up? Somebody said, Ben, if I don't have rent, I'm like, I can't rely only on Chase because I don't know how contracts, what that's going to look like. And I don't even know if Chase understands how valuable the perception of just having height is to them. I think that's another thing altogether. So we'll move on from that. But let's talk a little bit about spending. So they want to have a spending component. We see this in the Ritz-Carlton card. We see this on the Amex card. They kind of put 75K as that indicator if you're a high spender. So they said if you spend $75,000 on the Chase Sapphire Reserve and you put a bunch of stuff on there, I'm assuming a lot of travel becomes your travel card and earn 4x. You will get IHG Diamond status, which is actually a pretty good status because it's their top tier for IHG. Kelly, Julia, have you guys ever stayed at a Kimpton or Intercontinental? Do you do any of those? Kelly says yes. You do?
Yeah, we're in the IHG program. I think it's a nice program, and you can get good benefits and even nice like upgrades, even with their second tier status. So, but it's easy enough to get the diamond status through even like paying for Intercontinental ambassador status, and so it's not incredibly exciting for this amount of spend.
Okay. But then they also gave you Southwest A-list status. So you'll get which means, by the way, you get a free bag. I'm going to assume it's going to give you seat selection. They haven't said, but I got to think if I'm an A-lister, shouldn't they give me a free seat if I'm an A-lister? Have they made an announcement on that yet?
Are they still making you pay for bags and then you get a reimbursement if you have the A-list status?
No.
Okay.
By the way, this is how they're doing it.
I'm not in Southwest.
My wife just flew. My wife just flew Southwest this week. You know what they're doing now? They do not have a way to give you to charge you a bag online. Okay, they don't have that ability. So you have to show up and pay for the bag when you check in, by the way. That's when you pay for your bag, is at check-in. They have no online, like you can't pay in advance and show up. No, you got to pay on spot. So
they want big line. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
There's going to be a line and people are going to have to pull out their credit card to pay, and then they're going to weigh you. And on her way back, man, they were sticklers. They said she was off because she had her pillow with her. She was off by 3 pounds. So I didn't even know her pillow was 3 pounds, but she had to carry her pillow on because they're like checking right now, because they can charge. I think it's $35 for the first bag, $45 for the second. If you're overweight, it's like $100.
Wow.
So we'll see. So priority boarding, free check bags. I don't think they're giving free seat selection just yet. I don't know. But we'll hear probably more about it. And then they're going to give you a $500 Southwest credit for bookings made through Chase Travel, not directly. You got to make us do their travel. Man, they really are pushing their Chase Travel portal. They're like, you're going to come to us for everything. And then $250 at shops like Dyson and Tumi and Tumi. Yeah, they give me $250 at Tumi. I'm like, give me $1,000 at Tumi. All right.
Exactly. A Dyson. You can get anything
like a handle there. All right. Lounge access, that remains unchanged. Kelly, Julie, have you visited any Chase Sapphire Lounge? I just went to my first one this past week.
Yeah, same. I was in New York, and since I don't have the CSR, my friend had it, so I was able to get in for free.
At the JFK one? Do you go to the
JFK? And we actually visit 4 lounges. On this day, we were just bored. Don't ask. But honestly, the Chase Lounge was my favorite by far. Yeah. So that actually made me consider applying to the CSR, but that was before these changes. So now I'm like, is that annual fee going to be worth it? The lounge visits, even though if you have Priority Pass, you can access a Chase Lounge 1 time per year. So I already have Priority Pass with my American Express and my City Prestige. So that 1 time a year that I decide to access the Chase Lounge, I can do it through Priority Pass. So I don't know.
And what I've read, and yes, I go to Boston frequently, and that's one of my favorite lounges in the US is the Reserve Lounge there. But you get in 1 time per priority pass card that you have. So you can, if I'm like, I'm going to go to Boston, okay, maybe 5 times in a year, I have probably 5 priority pass cards. If I activate them also, I can just run through if I'm going to be in
Exactly.
a reserve lounge. Yeah.
Oh, same.
I never understood that. I felt like they should have cut off the priority pass access if they really wanted people to see it as an exclusive reserve benefit. But since it's run by the club, I think they've kept it with that priority pass access.
I think that's where it is. It's the club relationship. The club, by the way, runs all the Julie, I don't know if you've ever been to like the club at ATL, the club in San Jose. It's like a priority pass brand called the club. They're actually owned. Okay, so priority pass is owned by a company called Collinson. Collinson owns priority pass, and they also own the club. And then when Chase decided they were going to do a lounge, they contracted the club, which is Priority Pass, which is Collinson. So that's why this unusual rule, which is you can still get in with Priority Pass, is because it's like, hey, we're running everything. Let's get our other customers in here too. We can't like exclude them, but they're only given once. But it's interesting. Lynn says, what's the difference between there's no CSR, there's no CSP lounge, it's just CSR lounge. But if you're a priority pass from Capital One or from Amex or from CD or any of the other ones, like what were we talking about the other day? We were talking about HSBC. If you had any of those, then you could be able to get in. But gosh, Kelly, that lounge in Boston I went to, that was a long walk. That was like 15-minute walk for me to get from like gate 4 to gate 39. I was just like, oh my God, where am I walking to? I felt like I was at JFK. All right. Yeah, they're all priority pass select lanes. They're all priority pass select. All right, let's move on. Okay, we have LaGuardia, we have JFK, we have Boston, we have Washington, Dulles, and Hong Kong. So here's the other thing. If you're going to get this card and you want to go use the Chase Sapphire Lounge Unlimited, you should probably either live in one. This should be your home airport, or it should be an airport you're connecting or leaving out of regularly, because if you're not, they're not everywhere yet. They don't have as many as Amex Platinum does. They're playing open one in San Diego, which is surprising to me because I would like one in LAX, but San Diego gets one. Phoenix will get one. Phoenix become the little hub over there. They got a Chase Lounge, they got a Capital One Lounge, and everything. Philly opening up a little bit later, and then they have some other locations like Las Vegas. I do know that they're LA. They'll probably get here when they finish all the construction eventually.
Actually, in Miami, every time we have events, which is all the time,
yeah.
When Chase comes, I've been to a few events. I was invited by Chase to attend a few of their events. They will actually have the Chase Sapphire Reserve Lounge at their event. So. Yeah, so people that actually have the CSR can go in the lounge. So it's like a pop-up lounge here and then. They're going to have it at Art Basel, Formula One events. And I know they had one in Vegas. So if you have the CSR and your home airport does not have a lounge, check if Chase is doing any event, like in Miami, for example. And the events that I've been with them, good.
Okay, since we're on lounges right now, let's talk a little bit about lounges. Capital One just made an announcement the other day, last week, that said they went from the most generous lounge for the whole family to, no, we're only going to get you in. And if you want somebody else, they either need to get their own card. They got to either get their own card. They got to become authorized use for a fee if they have lounge access. And there won't be any priority pass guests. It'll just be the member now. Kelly, do you think Capital One is full on themselves, or do they deservedly so have the best lounge out there and therefore they can command that?
I just think it's oversaturation. I mean, we're going to see, we saw it with the Centurion Lounge. We're going to see it with the reserve lounges too. There's already waits all the time. I went the day after Phoenix opened and there was already a wait. So this restriction is going to keep happening. I think they do it to put out and get market saturation when their lounges are in infancy. And then as they grow, they have to restrict to actually let people use that benefit.
So do you have the Capital One card, Kelly?
I do, yeah.
do you have any authorized users on there or just you?
I do my P2, but we would sometimes go to the one in Dallas, but I don't think we'll do it enough to keep the authorized user lounge access on it.
Here's my take on it. The more and more I thought about it, I actually said to myself, they just want everyone to get their own card. They're just out of the whole authorized user for free market anymore. Yeah. Like they're just going, you know what? If you want to come in here, fine, get the card. Because in the end, ultimately, that card is $395. They didn't increase the fee, which I thought, okay, here's the thing I thought from the whole time. The first time I ever walked in the Capital One Lounge, I said to myself, wow, because I usually go to the Dallas one as well. And I remember looking, I'm like, wow, the food's better. The grab and go is priceless. And I said to myself, I'm like, why would I need to go to the even though it's next door? I'll go hang out. And a lot of times I said to myself, wow, they're so generous with the free authorized user. You can bring +2, unlimited. I'm like, this won't last forever. And so here's what I thought happened. I said, either going to raise a fee, that Capital One, because they were lower than everybody else. That was the first thing I thought. Number two, I said, oh, the food's going to get worse. Like they can't keep up this quality forever. And then, they're not paying. So I didn't expect them to get rid of the whole authorized user piece of it because I thought that was a thing. But now that I got back about it, I'm like, okay, well, is it better every? Because $395, you get $300 travel. It's nice and easy to deal with. It's 2x on everything. I think that's a keeper card. Actually, if I really look at all the cards that I probably wouldn't cancel, the Capital One is probably the least one I was going to cancel because it's easy. Okay, so we got the platinum status, by the way, for all card members who have this. So even if you don't spend any money, you'll get platinum status IHG. Travel protection, still the same, trip delay, cancellation, primary car rental, except I guess if you live in New York, because if you're in New York, and then travel concierge services. So I just wanted to kind of cover like who is the right audience for this. I just said, number one, you probably need to fly and use the card on hotels and flights. So if you're going to earn the 4X on booking and 3X through Chase Travel, let me ask you this. For those who have the platinum, would you value 4X Chase or 5X on the platinum card?
Well, it depends on your future travel plans. For example, if I really want to book a specific high hotel, then American Express won't be able to help me on that. So then I'll be focusing on Chase. It all depends on the travel goals that you have, in my opinion.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Since both of you stayed at Hyatt, would you use the 4X on the Chase Sapphire Reserve or you do 4X on the Hyatt card?
I think I would use on the Chase because transferable points are way superior than just Hyatt points. So, for example, I would use, so not just Hyatt. Sometimes if, let's say I have a Virgin Atlantic flight that I want to book and the flight is 40,000, I just came up with a random number and I only have 38 on American Express. So yes, I would transfer 2,000 from my Chase to Virgin Atlantic. So that is why I will always prefer, flexible points versus miles or hotel points.
Kelly, what about you? 4X on CSR or 4X on the Hyatt card when you're staying at Hyatt?
Well, I think it'll make me change my strategy because I was putting all hotels 3 times on the reserve, but since I'm not going to keep it with this, I'll change over my Hyatt spend to my Hyatt card.
I still have both. And here's the thing. This card isn't changing for us, or at least the fee, until October. If your renewal, okay, so this is important for everyone to know here who's listening. If your renewal of your fee is before October 26th, you're still going to renew at the $550 rate. If your renewal is after October 26th, then you'll be charged a new $700 rate. So I feel like I can still catch it. I just went back and looked today and I said, oh, my renewal is actually October 1st, like 26 days before. So I'm still going to renew at $550. So if I renew at $550, I'm going to still get all these other credits for another year before I renew in 2026. So from that perspective, I said, I can go 1 year and then get all the credits, and then I'm still paying the old fee. And Julia, if you apply for the card before the 26th of this month, so you got a week, you can still get the old fee. So I just want to make sure that those people who have the card don't just go out and cancel it, that they understand that it's still getting the old fee if their card is renewing before October 26th.
Mine's December 1st. I'm really in that bad. I get a month of benefits and then it's got to go.
No.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I know.
That makes sense. Okay. And well, now, by the way, they also made some changes. They got rid of the you can't have 2 credit cards. You can't have a Chase Sapphire Preferred and Chase Sapphire Reserve to make room for this, because they were concerned a lot of people who had the Preferred couldn't get this card. So they're going to end that restriction, and they're going to allow you to be able to get both cards if you qualify. So they're going to do this whole pop-up jail that Amex does and says when you're filling out the app, oh, you're not going to get a bonus. So they're going to look at some things. What do you think about that, Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, that's great. That's great for people who want the opportunity, who are for preferred users. Somebody just asked, are you going to product change? I will product change because it's such a long credit line. I think I can change it down to the Freedom. I'm not going to change it to the Preferred. I don't find a lot of value out of Preferred. I'd rather spend on Bilt rather than the Preferred.
I love that you're going all in on Bilt. It looks like you're leaving the whole Sapphire family then.
I still have my ink, so I will put my 3 times travel on my ink Preferred until that goes away, and then I'll use the Amex green 3 times travel, because a lot of people forget about that benefit. It's not as wide as the 3 times travel on the Reserve was, but it still captures a lot. So it's a great mid-tier Amex card.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Who should skip the card? Maybe infrequent travelers. If you're not staying in hotels much, maybe you probably don't want it. If you're looking for a cashback card, or you don't like tracking all these multiple credits, if you want to keep track of the credit, I would encourage you to get card pointers. I'll drop the link in there if anybody wants it. And then if you're booking direct, it seems to be kind of anti-booking direct. They're kind of like, yeah, we want you to book through the Chase Travel Portal. It seems like all the perks come out of that. So those are some of the things I wanted to bring up. So if they are looking to apply before June 23rd and lock in the 550, you can be able to do it and still get the 1.5 redemption, because that is going away. And then we may get now, if you do it, you may end up losing on this large sign-up offer, because right now I think the offer is 60,000. So easily, I think the new bonus is going to be at least 100, because I don't think you're going to get any lower than that. So it'll probably be 100 or higher. So you're giving up 40,000 points or the $200 fee. So keep that in mind. And then you can still product upgrade from a Preferred before June 23rd, lock in the benefits. So those are what's going on with that. All right. I know we're kind of at time. I think we're almost like we're at the hour mark. Julia, Kelly, are there any things you want to add to this discussion that maybe we haven't covered already?
I actually wanted to ask you, do you think that, so for example, like me, right, when I visit the JFK lounge and I love the Chase Sapphire lounge, I thought it was the best. Do you think this credit card is worth it just for lounge access, nothing more, like for someone who doesn't value tracking all the benefits?
How often do you think you're going to? How often do you think you're going to JFK that lounge?
Not that specific lounge. I've never been to the one in Boston, for example, and I heard it's super nice.
Which other? When you said you went to 4 lounges, now I'm curious, Julie. What are the 4 other lounges the 3 other lounges you went to that you said this is the other? I'm curious now.
So I went to 2 of the Delta lounges, and then I went to the Centurion, which was the lowest on the list.
Really? You didn't like the speakeasy thing that they got over there going on? No, not a fan.
No. It wasn't like, I don't know. It was my least favorite. And I'm obsessed with American Express. I mean, if you check my account, you know. But that lounge
wasn't it.
Yeah,
did
no.
hit.
So then we visit 2 Delta lounges, the Centurium and then the Chase lounge. The Chase was by far the best.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't made it to there because it's in Terminal 8. I'm already flying out of Terminal 4, and it's a long walk. And
Yeah.
so I'm usually hanging out at the Soho Lounge or some of the AA lounges typically there. So I can't speak to either one of those there. Okay. Do I think you should keep it for that? No. I don't think you should get the card just for that. I honestly, I still think the Capital One lounges are better than the Chase lounges, in my opinion. So I don't think, and the fact that they still let you in with your, so if you had a Capital One and you had a Capital One and you had an Amex Platinum, that would give you 2 entrances into the JFK lounge if you happen to go into. So I would try that, and then if not, then potentially pay your way in. Actually, you know what? I would say, I didn't bring this up, but I'm going to say that I think it's on my other slide. But if you have a Marriott card, I think personally the best card out there, the one I least count, lower than the Capital One, but I have the Ritz-Carlton card, and the Ritz-Carlton card I still think is the best lounge card out there. And by the way, if you go, here's the thing. Do you have a Marriott card, Julia? I don't know if you do.
No.
Okay, so it's a 2-step process. It takes 1 year to get this card. You got to get a Marriott card first, and right now there's a good Marriott card. Like if you go get like the Boundless card from Chase, they're giving 5 free nights right now, and they're worth 60,000 points a night. So that's 300,000 points worth of points, and that's a $95 card. You keep it for a year. When you get to renewal, instead of renewing the card, you can upgrade the card to Ritz-Carlton. And then when you upgrade it, that is actually a higher tier card than the Chase Sapphire Reserve, even though it has a $450 fee. And they give you unlimited authorized users, and they give you unlimited guests in the lounge.
Wow. That's
so
good.
Even if you have you and your all your workout friends, you guys all like, they could be all your authorized users. And when you guys all do a girls trip together, next time you go to Wits, you could be able to all go into the JFK lounge next time.
I love that.
All right. Kelly, do you have anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
I appreciate your notes. It was a lot of info to cover within the same day of release. So thanks so much for doing this so that I could learn a lot too and get a nice recap of everything that's changing.
That's great. Thank you both for joining. Thank you for joining on YouTube, on this channel as well. Folks, go ahead and follow Kelly, Points of Miles Doc. They're wonderful, as well as Julia, Journey on Points. They're the best in the business. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.